Hey guys, Aaron Cybertron Zhang here, and today I'm back with another episode of Road to Ranked, where I climb the online regulation VGC ladder in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet and provide live commentary as I go. In this video, I'm going to be featuring the team that won the Gdansk Regional Championships and also got top 32 at the Latin America International Championships. It is a rain team that features a really cool tech in Loaded Dice Bullet Seed Rillaboom paired with Archaludon. Rain has been one of the strongest archetypes since the beginning of Regulation H, and Loaded Dice Rillaboom is a brand new tech that really unlocks Archaludon even more, allowing you to instantly boost up your own stamina defense boost while also being able to threaten with a lot of damage. As always, I'll do a quick breakdown of the team, but if you want to just skip to the battles, check out the timestamps down below, and thanks so much as always for joining me. If you enjoy, I'd really appreciate if you consider leaving a like in the video or subscribing to the channel. It really helps out a ton. Anyway, let's get started. If you're interested in trying out the team, the rental code is on the screen, and there's also an accompanying Pokepaste down in the description below. This is a Rain team that features two of the strongest attackers under Rain in Choice Band Swift Swim Basculegium, as well as the Electroshot Archaludon. You've got Rillaboom, which is really nice to enable the Archaludon in particular, being able to boost up that stamina and quickly do massive amounts of damage with body press while also being able to wall physical attackers. To round out the team, you've got an Electabuzz with the Electro Web and Taunt, which is really valuable for support for this team, and a Sword Stance, Dark Terra, Black Glasses, King Gambit, which can just deal massive amounts of damage, especially after it gets boosted up with a Sword Stance. For some quick context, this team was brought to the Gdansk Regional Championships, which took place in the beginning of November 2024 and had nearly 500 players competing in the Masters division, making it a huge major over in Europe. Federico Camporesi won the entire tournament, defeating Marco Silva in the finals, and Fede Campo has been an incredible player throughout so many different seasons. He got top 4 at the 2023 World Championships, and I remember when Scarlet and Violet first came out, he was one of the most impressive players because he was constantly dominating all of these different online tournaments, and so this was a huge major victory for him, and he did it with a really cool tech in that Loaded Dice Rillaboom. If you take a look at the top 8 teams here, Rain actually is not very common. It's only Fede Campo using Rain, and despite Rain being such a common archetype, I think that it has definitely had a huge target on its back. One of the things that I really think unlocks this team to the next level is that people were not very prepared for the Bullet Seed tech in particular, and so it just unlocks a whole new way to boost your Archaludon. Sometimes with Rain teams, you won't even have a way to boost stamina Archaludon, but it's just such a good Pokemon and ability that you'll still run it. But with the Rillaboom, you suddenly threaten with Fake Out Pressure, a lot of offense, and a lot of immediate defense. And so you can check out the rest of the teams from this tournament down using the link in the description below. Fede Campo actually ended up also going to the Latin America International Championships 2 weekends later and also got top 32 there, losing to Victor Medina, who ended up finishing in second place with also a Rain team. And so it's been a really impressive run for Fede Campo and a huge accomplishment by him. Breaking down the individual mons, the first one that I want to talk about is the Loaded Dice Bullet Seed Rillaboom. By the way, question of the day, I want to know how excited you are to go back to Regulation G as we are entering the last month of Regulation H. Let me know your scores down in the comment section below and why. Now, Rillaboom on this team really unlocks so much of Archaludon's potential, and it's because it's running the Loaded Dice plus the Bullet Seed combination. With most Rillabooms, you'll normally see something like Miracle Seed with Woodhammer or an Assault Vest, which is very, very common. Loaded Dice plus Bullet Seed is pretty rare, but it's so nice specifically to enable Archaludon. Of course, you also don't take recoil from if you were to use Woodhammer, for example, and so it allows you to just get a lot of nice damage off and ignore Focus Sashes, of course, as well. But the main idea behind Bullet Seed, of course, is to be able to just enable Archaludon right away. Rillaboom plus Archaludon is actually one of my favorite leads with this team because you can threaten something like Fake Out plus a lot of damage like Draco Meteor right away on turn 1, or you can go directly for something like the side Bullet Seed into a body press. The Rillaboom here outpaces the Archaludon by exactly 1 speed point, and the Archaludon here actually has decent speed investment, so you'll often be outpacing opposing Archaludons that don't have a lot of speed investment, which is really huge because you can just get boosted up and then knock them out with body press, which I find to be absolutely incredible. A lot of times people will be scared of Rillaboom on turn 1, and so they'll protect because of the threat of Fake Out, and if they protect and you're able to go for side Bullet Seed and knock out whatever is next to the Pokemon protecting, it can just give you such a big advantage. Right now in the format, there are so many teams that are physically oriented, so being able to get a boost onto Archaludon immediately can make it really difficult for your opponent to deal with this Pokemon afterwards. The Archaludon here is going to be fairly straightforward. The main thing to note here is that you actually have decent speed investment, not a ton of special attack investment, and you're actually a plus defense nature here to really take advantage of the increased defense that you'll get from stamina. It's very, very common that you're going to be going for the side Bullet Seed, and even if you don't side Bullet Seed, there are a lot of times where Archaludon will be able to just soak up a bunch of attacks and increase its defense naturally from your opponent attacking it. So very standard moveset here. Fairy Terra is on this set. Of course, this gives you the resistance to fighting, which is really nice. It allows you to really take a big close combat from something like Sneasler, for example. Other Terras you might want to consider include, for example, Bug, which has been really common on Archaludon recently. Grass is kind of one of the original Terra types that people were using, and with Amoonguss usage spiking up a little bit more recently in tournaments, it's something to worth consider as well. But overall, Fairy is just a nice defensive Terra that you can use. And the main thing to note here is that you don't have Snarl, which is a move that's been picking up more recently in Archaludon. It's just classic Electroshot, Flash Cannon, Draco Meteor, and Body Press. So this is one of the cores of the team, but of course you've got Rain on this team as well. So you've got Pelipper, really standard Pelipper set here. Not much to really say other than that it is Modest Nature and can do really good damage. And you don't have Wide Guard, you've got Protect here instead, and Ghost Terra allows you to get around Fake Out. Basculegion is also one of the key pieces of this team, and Basculegion just allows you to threaten with a ton of damage immediately. You have the Grass Terra here rather than Water Terra, so keep that in mind. Grass Terra, of course, means that you don't get an increase in damage with your water type attacks when you Terra, but it's really nice defensively. It allows you to, of course, ignore things like Rage Powder from Amoonguss as well, and critically means that you can survive attacks like Grassy Glide from Rillaboom, as well as just be able to really soak up electric type damage as well. And so Basculegion, a really key Pokemon, and often can be really effective in picking up immediate knockout with Wave Crash in the Rain boosted by Choice Band and the Rain itself, or you can use it for late game sweeper after some of your Pokemon have fainted, bring it out, use Last Respects, and just get a lot of knockouts. To round out the team, you've got King Gambit here as well as Electabuzz. King Gambit here is going to be your Black Glasses Dark Terra set. Really straightforward. The main thing to point out here is that you actually have a little bit of speed investment, and so this will give you an edge against other base 50 Pokemon that don't have speed investment and opposing King Gambits as well. The main goal behind this Pokemon often is to try to get one Swords Dance up and then sweep with Dark Terra and your Dark type attacks. And then you've got Electabuzz here, which is really valuable for support. It's really good for speed control because of Electro Web. Taunt is very essential into, for example, Trick Room oriented teams, and can also stop things like Amoonguss. Amoonguss in particular can be annoying for Archaludon here since you're not Grass Terra, so the Electabuzz can be really nice in soaking up potential sleeps with that Vital Spirit and going for taunts as well. And Electro Web, of course, just such a valuable attack right now, being able to not only deal damage but also drop your opponent's speed and break things like Focus Sash and Multi-Scale as well. In terms of leads that you might want to consider, of course, with this being a Rain team, Pelipper, Basculegion, Pelipper, Archaludon are both really strong. Rillaboom, Basculegion is actually a lead I really like because with this you can pressure the switch into Pelipper immediately or pressure the switch into Archaludon, right? So if I'm leading Rillaboom Basculegion, I can turn one, switch Basculegion out into Archaludon and side Bullet Seed. That's a play that often catches my opponents off guard. Or I can go switch the Rillaboom out into Pelipper and attack with Basculegion immediately and then activating Swift Swim. This is a lead that I often like if my opponent, for example, has Weather on their team, or then that way by going for this lead, I don't have to set up Rain immediately. I can switch in the Pelipper, and if they lead their Weather user like Tyranitar, for example, I can take advantage of that. Electabuzz is also nice as a lead option, especially if you're going up against a lot of support-oriented Pokemon, or for example, Trick Room. Electabuzz King Gambit is definitely a viable lead where you can threaten with something like Follow Me plus the Swords Dance. Rillaboom King Gambit also gives you support in order to enable the King Gambit and sweep really heavily, but those are just some leads to consider, and I'd highly recommend you watching some of Fede Campo's games from regionals to see how he played with the team. In terms of things to watch out for, one of the key strengths of this team, of course, is the Loaded Dice Bullet Seed into Archaludon. So how can you actually deny that if you're fighting against this team? Well, first of all, if you see this duo, you can aggressively target into the Archaludon immediately. If you have two Pokemon that are able to move before Archaludon even gets the stamina boost stuff, that can be really, really valuable. And so I've had opponents who are really smart and just double up onto Archaludon immediately as I'm going for side Bullet Seed and just knock out Archaludon, and I essentially just waste a turn completely. This duel also doesn't have Protect on either Pokemon, so it's obviously vulnerable to just getting targeted down. Faster Fake Out can stop Rillaboom, so if you have Sneasler with Fake Out, for example, that can be valuable. Even though Archaludon is Assault Vest and really bulky, special damage can still be very powerful into it. And keep in mind that it actually doesn't do a ton of damage before it gets Electro Shot special attack boost or defense boost from stamina, right? Because you don't have a ton of special attack or defense investment. And so being able to do a ton before it's really able to get boosted up can be valuable. Having Haze obviously can be really valuable in getting rid of the stat increases as well. And Rillaboom and Archaludon can be scared by Sneasler. Sneasler threatens with Stellar Dire Claw into Rillaboom and Stellar Close Combat into Archaludon, which can just threaten a one-hit knockout. You obviously have a great defensive Terra here in Fairy, and if your opponent doesn't commit that Stellar, then you can survive Dire Claw with Rillaboom. But basically getting one turn correctly and denying the Bullet Seed can be a really big deal. Obviously, redirection can be also valuable in just making sure that the Bullet Seed doesn't go into Archaludon. For the rain core of this team, obviously opposing weather can be scary, whether it be a weather user like Tyranitar, Torkoal, or Lola Ninetales, or manual weather Sunny Day from something like Jumpluff or Whimsicott, for example. Basculegion in particular really doesn't love going up against Pokemon that resist water type attacks, and so good defensive Terras can be valuable. And of course, if the rain isn't up, then it's going to be a lot less really threatening because the Swift Swim just isn't active and you don't get the damage increase in Wave Crash. Keep in mind that Last Respects also just isn't a very powerful move for this Pokemon if it's being used in the early game, so you can utilize that to your advantage. For King Gambit, it's Dark Terra, so you're going to be really vulnerable to fighting-type Pokemon, and just Pokemon that, of course, don't take that much damage from Dark-type attacks, and very defensive Pokemon. And for Electabuzz here, you are threatened by, for example, Taunt, shutting down most of your supportive moves, and Electabuzz also just doesn't really do a ton of damage, and so you'll have to keep that in mind as well. So those are just a couple things I wanted to call out. Ooh, we have some similar teams here, although it's really interesting to not see like an Archaludon or a Basculegion to take advantage of rain on the opposing side. Instead, it's Electabuzz, Rillaboom, Comfey, Pelipper, Kingambit, Sneasler. So side Bullet Seed would be really powerful here. If Archaludon is boosted, I think it kind of just defensively walls my opponent's entire team. So I like the idea of leading Rillaboom. I have to be careful about bringing Basculegion in this game because it's very vulnerable to Sucker Punch. Like, if I were them, I'd probably bring Gambit, Rilla, Sneasler. Gambit, Rilla, Sneasler. I don't think my Gambit's really that good against those. I don't love Electabuzz. I think it's probably the top 4. I'm thinking Rillaboom, Basculegion. King or Archaludon, Pelipper. With this, I threaten a switch into Pelipper or Archaludon on turn 1. And both can threaten my opponent a good bit. And if we get Archaludon's defense boosted early, I think it'll be really tough for my opponent. Okay, it's going to be Sneasler plus King Gambit. Fine by me. I think here you got to be worried about like Fake Out plus Wave Crash, so I think I'm down to just go for the side Bullet Seed immediately and then switch out into Archaludon. The only debate is whether or not I'd want to Fire Terra the Rillaboom to get around, for example, Stellar Dire Claw. Yeah, if they go for it, they go for it. It's a very good play. I think here you do have to respect Fake Out Wave Crash. So I would expect some Protects. It is the Terra, though. Okay, Terra Gambit. That's fine. Terra Dark, so trying to just get a stronger Sucker Punch or Kowtow Cleave. We'll see. Does Sneasler Fake Out turn 1? Whoa. Okay. Normal Gem. It ends up being fine. Obviously, I don't get the Bullet Seed off. So this next turn now is scary because you can threaten this with Bullet Seed. This threatens Close Combat. It threatens Dire Claw. And Close Combat will still really hurt the Archaludon. They could, for example, Sucker Punch and Close Combat into Archaludon. If I get this boosted, Archaludon's just in such a good spot. The debate is who to Terra here. Because I want to Side Bullet Seed Terra Archaludon. Body Press. But if it's Dire Claw to Rilla, it might just one-shot us from the range that we're at. They could also Sucker Punch the Rilla, obviously. I wonder if it was ever worth just going for Side Grassy Glide and not tearing to get the defense boost immediately. It's kind of interesting. Nice. Okay, it's close combat. Sweet. Huge. And they didn't Sucker Punch either, so this is incredible for us because now I just knock out the King Gambit and I get to +5 defense at the minimum. Okay, great. Yeah, Dire Claw on a Rilla I think was quite scary there, so fortunately we didn't end up seeing that. And I am going to take a decent bit of damage from this, but it's totally worth it. We've gotten rid of their Terra. Their King Gambit is one of the biggest threats. We'll see if we can actually get the knockout here. Okay, nice. The King Gambit is one of the biggest threats to Gdansk Legion, so eliminating that from the field is huge. Rillaboom now is going to be the other big threat to deal with. Normal Gem Sneasler, though, so fascinating. Of course, it's a way to get your Unburden activated without using something like Focus Sash or Seed. So, that's a cool tech. But yeah, in this game, it just felt like if we got our Archaludon boosted, it'd be so tough for my opponent. Okay, it is going to be the Rillaboom hitting the field. So now they can Fake Out plus Dire Claw into Rillaboom. We've got Pelly-Bask in the back. I'm okay going for high horsepower here into you and Body Press into you. Okay, Fake Out into Rilla actually. So they're probably just going for Dire Claw status conditions now. You can see we don't take very much damage from it. And we get another stamina boost. Very nice. And critically, no status condition. So Body Press comes out. It's a crit. We were basically maxed out on defense, right? So don't think that made too much of a difference since we had the +4 defense from Rilla and then close combat plus Dire Claw. And the last one is going to be Electabuzz. Cool, works for me. +6 defense. Yeah, I'm happy to just go for high horsepower onto you and Body Press onto you. Yep, they go for Follow Me. You need a Dire Claw, Sleep, or pair into Full Para or Crit right now. Let's see if they get any of those. Only does 30 damage per hit right now, and we're not going to get status condition at all, which is quite fortunate. And so our Archaludon just happy to take a third knockout in this game. And part of the strength of this Archaludon is just my opponent not really having very powerful special damage on their team, right? They brought 3 physical attackers plus an Electabuzz, and Pelipper is their only other really... I mean, you could use Comfy, I guess, but it's mainly meant for healing. So, can high horsepower and just Body Press you now. Dire Claw, let's see if they get a status condition this time around. Finally gets a Poison. But, you know, they're looking for Sleep, obviously. High horsepower, though, comes out and probably just gets the one-shot. Yeah, beautiful. So, we got the combo off effectively in this game. I was really worried about, like, offensive Terra with Sneasler to start the game, since, like, Stellar Dire Claw to eliminate Rillaboom is really scary. But, yeah, my opponent went Dark Terra to try to just snipe off Gdansk Legion. And I think one thing that I like about this team is when you lead Rilla plus Archaludon, or sorry, Rilla plus Gdansk Legion, it's hard to cover for, like, Fake Out plus Gdansk Legion attacking, plus Rilla switch into Pelipper and just Water Terra, or sorry, Grass Terra, go for Wave Crash, for example, or side switch, or switch into Archaludon Side Bullet Seed, right? So there's like a lot of different possibilities that you can go for with that lead combination alone, and all it takes is one good turn with the Archaludon plus the Rillaboom to really just run over things. That's a Thwackey. That's really cool. Okay, Thwackey, Excadrill, T-Tar, Comol, Volcarona, and Archaludon. So we've got Sand here. I've obviously got Rain. Probably don't bring Electabuzz here. Thwackey is really interesting. I'm a little bit scared of Iron Defense Comol. That actually would be an argument for Electabuzz for Taunt. Volcarona is also kind of scary. And I wonder what kind of Archaludon set they are. I think I like Pelly-Bask or Archaludon Rilla here. Don't want to lead Pelly though, so I'm thinking Bask. Bask Rilla, Archaludon Pelipper. I think if they didn't have Volcarona, I'd probably be willing to just go Rilla plus Archaludon immediately, but the Volcarona, I think, will be kind of annoying, especially if you're Covert Cloak, because you can just ignore Fake Out and then Quiver Dance turn 1 in front of in front of Archaludon plus Rilla, which is not good for us. But it's going to be Thwackey and Komolo. Very likely could be Iron Defense here. If you're my opponent, you honestly could just Fake Out Rillaboom Iron Defense with this. I can switch into Archaludon. Fake Out Komolo. I don't even know if it's Iron Defense. It could be, for example, the Clanging Scales, Clanger Soul set. Oh, Side Bullet Seed would have worked there. That would have been sick. But I would guess they're just targeting Archaludon with the grass type attack right now. Let's see. Yeah, works for me. I'll take the Wood Hammer. Does 23 damage. We get a stamina boost. Okay. I think now I can probably just Side Bullet Seed plus Body Press, no? Yeah, I'm down for that. Thwackey is not really that much of a concern. They're actually going to switch out, which makes sense. You're not really offering very much offensive pressure. Archaludon comes out, fine by me. Let's see what Komolo's opting for. Okay, it's going to be a Terra. Interesting. Into what? Ghost? Ghost would be very good right now for them. Nope, just fire. Ooh, it could be Flamethrower into Rilla right now. Oh, it's Clanker's Soul. This is not good news for them. Archaludon just crushes it here. Yeah, we're going to have +5 defense, body press into Komolo. So the Fire Terra here, defensive to survive a Dragon type attack. And this actually makes a lot of sense, right? Because with the Fire Terra and the special defense boost, you should survive really any Dragon type attack for me. But unfortunately for them, I'm going to be going for body press here rather than Draco. This play covered for either version of Komolo though, Clanging Scales as well, Clanger Soul as well as Iron Defense Body Press. Even if they went for Iron Defense, like we boost our defense far quicker than them, right? So they'd be at +2 defense, whereas I'd be at +5 or +6. So, cool. But yeah, if they actually just went for Flamethrower there onto Rilla, I wonder if that would have KO'd us. Ooh, Komolo survives though! Whoa. Okay. That's impressive. Wow, stacked up even with that one defense boost that allows them to survive. That's really impressive. Okay. That's really scary. I have Fairy Terra here, which is kind of really good into this. So I'm thinking we Fairy Terra, Body Press into Archaludon. And just high horsepower. I can't believe it survived, though. That's very impressive. But Fairy Terra here covers for your Clanging Scales, so Flamethrower is the only offense you could go for, and a +2 Flamethrower into Assault Vest Archaludon isn't that scary. Okay. Oh, Komolo even protects. Cool. Works for me. High horsepower into protect. Now you know I have high horsepower. We outspeed, beautiful. +6 body press, that's a one-hit KO. Excellent. I've got Pelipper in the back, which is going to be pretty good. They can bring Thwackey out for a fake out right now, and then Flamethrower. There's a part of me that's thinking about switching Archaludon out in a Pelipper just to set up the rain, so that Flamethrower does less damage, so then high horsepower just KOs the Komolo. But to be honest, I think Rillaboom has done its job in this game. They probably have Tyranitar as their last one, so getting one more knockout would win us the Weather War. Basket Legion can also just Aqua Jet this in the late game. So here they should fake out into Archaludon, presumably, but I think I'm happy to just click Body Press here. And high horsepower. I could switch Rilla into Pelly here. Grassy Glide I don't think KOs anyway, so. Yep, there's fake out, yep. I'm curious about this calc, like if switching in Pelipper would have allowed me to survive, because then I actually think it's worth it to give up my defense boost. But to be honest, I don't think they're just like going to be able to beat the... Yeah, I don't think they're going to be able to beat the Archaludon from this point onwards. So I can bring out the Pelipper now. Okay. I think with Pelipper out, I can honestly probably protect the... I could see them switching to Tyranitar and Flamethrowering here. I think I'm actually down to just Body Press here. And Weather Ball. Okay, just Grassy Glide. It's fine. And Clanging Scales. Yeah, we kind of wall the Como. But they do knock out Pelipper, so that's a nice play by them. Drop their defense. So now if, you know, Basculegion can just come out in Aqua Jet. Thwackey. Thwackey does survive, though. Okay. Well, that makes for an interesting endgame. Terrain disappears. Terrain disappears means that you can't Grassy Glide, which is nice. We know this obviously has Protect. Body Press. I think Tyranitar should be pivoting in somewhere here, but I think I'm down to just to Aqua Jet and Body Press here. I think the play actually is Aqua Jet into the Como slot. No need to double up so aggressively. Thwackey switches. Yeah, it should be T-Tar, right? Yep. Okay, Como protects, cool. But I think it's still probably better to just Aqua Jet and Body Press. There is a scenario where here, like, Como just attacked. I don't know if you even get a one-hit knockout at +2 with Clinging Scales, though, honestly. Fairy Terra and Fairy types are just a complete nightmare for the Clinging Clanger Soul Clinging Scales Como set. And with that defense drop, you can bring out Thwackey, but now I can just go for Aqua Jet plus Body Press into Como. Kind of cool to see Thwackey. It probably, if it were Rillaboom, probably would have fainted to a Body Press, right? Instead, it actually does manage to survive. Okay, so you can't fake out into Basculegion, so I'm happy to just Body Press you here. Oh, oops, not Wave Crash. And Aqua Jet here. Yep, they go for fake out into us, but I have Choice Band, Aqua Jet, super effective. You drop your defense, that's a KO. Beautiful. And this game does highlight why Aqua Jet actually can be a valuable move on Basculegion. Obviously, most of the time you want to be going for Wave Crash or Last Respects, but having that priority can be really valuable when you're up against faster Pokemon and you no longer have the rain in the end game. I could have brought out Basculegion first in this game as well, I think, rather than Pelipper. And then the turn that Pelipper went down, I was thinking, hey, I should have a KO onto the Thwackey slot. That also could have been a Body Press in Como, but, you know, Como could have protected there. But either way, in this game, Archaludon was just so well positioned. And they actually ended up not bringing Volcarona, which, funnily enough, I was actually kind of worried about in this matchup. Jet comes out and finishes off Thwackey. So Basculegion in the end was actually really nice. Able to do, I guess the 50% to Tyranitar, not really super relevant, but able to finish off Como and then, yeah, just threaten my opponent a ton throughout this game. But, you know, the Archaludon Rillaboom combination just is such a MVP combo when you use this team. Okay, pretty high ranked opponent here using Baxcalibur, King Gambit, the Dondozo, Sneasler, Rillaboom, and Volcarona. So this is very similar to a team that I featured on the channel recently, featuring Coaching Sneasler. Baxcalibur, I think, is just really underplayed, and I really, really like it. That team in particular, like, opened my eyes out to it. So yeah, it's I don't know if it's the exact same team, but if you want to see me use a team that's very similar to what my opponent has, check out the video link down in the description below. Solo Dozo with coaching support is also pretty scary. That team did have the, actually, Magmar over the Volcarona, so yeah, it's not going to be the exact same, but otherwise, very similar stuff. So against coaching Sneasler, I mean, their team is generally fairly physical, so getting our Archaludon boosted would be huge. The question is, how do I get a position for that. We also have to worry about Dondozo, but Archaludon with the Electro Shot should be good for it. I could just lead Rilla plus the Archaludon. I think I want Rilla, Archaludon, Pelipper, Basculegion. I could lead Rain. Rilla Bax is probably one of the leads I'm worried about. Okay, I think I'm going to go Rilla Arch. Probably Bask. Rilla Arch mainly would have to worry about Sneasler because you had pressure with Dire Claw and close combat. So Sneasler lead would just create some interesting mind games on turn 1. Because I could like Fairy Terra self Bullet Seed, right? It's Gambit, Sneasler. Okay, so Gambit, not so scary. Sneasler, obviously a little bit scarier. Well, one of the interesting things here is that normally the Sneasler is going to carry Coaching. So if it's Coaching double offense, it could be either Fake Out or Protect. Now, if you're Protect here and you Protect on turn 1, I could just like immediately hold a huge advantage by self Bullet Seed. I think I am down to self Bullet Seed here, and I'm actually going to commit Terra because I think the threat of Stellar Close Combat is very real. I'm going to Body Press Sneasler because I don't really care about King Gambit here. Where this could go wrong is if they... Okay, Gambit switches. That's not really surprising. Maybe into Dondozo. Yeah, fine by me. No Stellar Terra from their end. Okay. So the only thing I'm really worried about right now then... I guess they could just Fake Out into us on turn 1. Which would mean that it could very likely be Fake Out and Coaching. Nice. Yeah. Fake Out and Coaching is a thing. Just not exactly the most common. So we get activated. The downside is, first of all, I crit myself. The downside is by going for that Fairy Terror, I actually do like some damage into myself. And I crit myself, so turn 1 I actually take a good bit of damage, which is less than ideal, but it's fine. Okay. The main thing here is their team is so physically oriented that I just really value getting the boosts, right? And we have grassy terrain, so I still heal back after each turn. Okay. Good Protect to avoid taking any damage. I am now vulnerable to Dire Claw on both slots, so that's a little bit scary. But we are +5, so I'll definitely be surviving a Dire Claw. Dondozo here can go for Yawn now. I could switch into Pelipper and Electro Shot. I could also just Bullet Seed it. I'm actually thinking about Bullet Seed and Draco into Dozo. The alternative is just trying to get rid of the Sneasler right now. Like Grassy Glide plus Body Press into it. I don't hate that. Okay. Yeah, I think Dozo tearing here would make sense. But they could also Stellar Terra Sneasler and try to get a knockout onto Rillaboom. Yep, Terra Dozo. Terra Bug, fine by me. Hurricane now is super effective into you. So that's good. Okay. Oh, actually does a ton. And they Dire Claw Rilla. Perfect. Yep, we survive. No status condition. Body Press KOs. Good. Probably Yawn now is my guess into the Sneasler. Or sorry, into the Archaludon. Okay. It's fine. I think the main scary thing here is Fissure is actually going to work in their favor. Like, because, you know, you can start going for Fissure right after this turn. And I need to burn a turn of sleep. Minimum. You could just bring out Gambit now, double protect both of your Pokemon. We do have to take care of King Gambit sooner than later because they can just Sucker Punch Basculegion, which is a really, really big threat to us. And honestly, Bug Terradozo just very solid into what we have here, right? But Pelipper is going to be very handy into it. They're actually going to bring out Rillaboom here. Okay. Rillaboom is interesting. I mean, I'm not doing the most amount of damage, but I don't think I want to switch out my Rillaboom here either. They'll probably Fake Out into my Archaludon. I could switch Archaludon out right now. to get rid of the yawn. But they could just be yawning whatever's coming out. I think I probably want to safe switch it into my Pelipper. So I think I'm down to Bullet Seed into their Rilla and Body Press. Yeah, they're going to fake out into Arch. Okay. You get another defense boost. I think this game will basically come down to, do I wake up quickly enough with Archaludon, and do they land their Fissures quickly enough? Because if you're my opponent's on Dozo now, you just want to start clicking Fissure. But Bullet Seed into Rilla. 5 hits. Really good damage, honestly, 40-ish%. We flinch. Okay, and they're going to go for Yawn again. It's fine. It is going to be time for them to start clicking Fissure. Basically, what the game boils down to is Archaludon, you know, only eats up like 1 turn sleeps, then it will be able to body press everything quickly enough where I can just bring out Pelipper, Basculegion, and those two will hard win against Dondozo. The scary thing is the Basculegion is threatened both by Rillaboom and King Gambit from their end. I'm not going to switch out Rillaboom because it's not actually offering me that much right now. I'm happy to just Bullet Seed, Rilla, and body press again and take a turn of sleep here. These Bullet Seeds now put the Rillaboom in KO pressure from a Hurricane. So, the Pelipper right now is set up for good offensive success in this endgame. Okay. 4 hits there, that's fine. Arch takes its first turn of guaranteed sleep. They're going to Woodhammer, hopefully KO us. Okay, cool. We get a free switch in now. Good. Oh, they actually just go for Liquidation rather than Fissure. Huh. Interesting. I'm surprised they didn't want to opt for Fissure there. But I guess in their head, like, because of Unaware, you get the guaranteed damage off, so that does make some sense to me. I'm gonna bring out Pelipper here. The downside of Pelipper is I set up the rain, so my opponent is now doing more damage with Liquidation as well, which is actually pretty scary. Last turn of Grassy Terrain. They could double up on Pelipper right now with like a Woodhammer. Like, basically what I'm worried about is they double up on Pelipper, and then Basculegion comes out, and then they just Sucker Punch KO Basculegion. So I'm thinking about actually clicking Protect here with Pelipper this turn, and Body Press. Okay, let's see. They didn't... Oh, Arch is faster as well. It's good to confirm. Yeah, they do Woodhammer into us. Okay. Probably another Liquidation. Yep. 117 down to 62. We heal back from Terrain. This is a big turn, I think. Whether or not we... They didn't double up on a Pelly anyway, which I guess is a good thing for us as well. I can Hurricane now. And Body Press into you. Yeah. But I think they did a good job identifying how good Solo Dozo could be in this game. And have protected it really well. Because, like, the Gambit being able to Sucker Punch the Basculegion is tough. Although we do have Choice Band Aqua Jet, so I might end up locking into Aqua Jet with it. But let's see what happens this turn. We've already taken 2 turns of sleep on Archaludon. It is a 3rd turn, unfortunately. Okay, that's not great for me. But we're actually faster than the Rilla with Pelly. Oh, okay, nice. Which means Focus Sash isn't attacked, and that's actually a huge deal, because Pelly is so good offensively in this late game. I'm gonna go for another Liquidation. Down to 14 HP. Ooh, and a defense drop. Oh, although, actually, Stamina just negates it. Does Sucker Punch KO me? Like, I wouldn't think so. And 3 turns of Rain. Can obviously Hurricane into Dozo. I'm thinking they might Sucker Punch me, and if they do, Body Press just KOs. Sucker shouldn't KO at +6 defense. The alternative is to Draco Meteor Hurricane and just try to KO Dondozo. Could I see Dozo protecting? I would protect Gambit every time here, or Swords Dance with it. So I think I will Draco Hurricane here. Yeah, nice. Okay, King Gambit protects. We wake up. We don't miss. Perfect. Good damage there. Hurricane comes out now. Nice. That's a KO. Sweet. Bug Terra has been increasingly common as a defensive Terra on Pokemon like Dondozo as well as Archaludon, but the great thing about Bug Terra is Pelipper and having one of the strongest flying type attacks in this format. So yeah, now I can just Weather Ball, Body Press. That turn, I guess, is a little bit risky since King Gambit theoretically could just attack there, but I know you're vulnerable to a Body Press, and yeah, as you see, Sucker doesn't even KO, so we should survive Sucker or Kowtow. So I'm like, you know, the worst is Dozo protecting, but then Gambit, I guess, clicking Kowtow onto Peli, because if you do that, then you do pressure with Sucker Punch next turn. But yeah, I felt like my opponent was kind of in a tough spot there, and doubling up onto Dondozo would win me the game immediately. It may still have been a safer middle ground play to just go for Hurricane plus Body Press, but basically, and split my damage there, but I was worried, like, you get the knockout onto the Archaludon, I bring out the Basculegion, and then suddenly I actually have to make the decision, do I want to Aqua Jet instead, right? I probably would lock into Aqua Jet, honestly, and just go for Aqua Jet Weather Ball, try to KO the King Gambit. Gambit faints, and then we probably still win in the long run against Dondozo, since your moveset should be Liquidation, Fissure, Yawn, Protect, and so you just don't really do enough damage to the Pelipper. But yeah, it was interesting because Dozo was able to soak up a lot of damage, but what was next to it just wasn't able to get enough done, and despite eating the 3-turn sleep on Archaludon, it was still fine in the end. Okay, we've got an opposing Rain team here. Basculegion, Peli, Archaludon, Salamence, Amoonguss, and King Gambit. Opposing Rain, they've got Salamence as well as Amoonguss. Electabuzz is good. If I get boosted up with Archaludon, what are their special attackers? Salamence, Arch. So I'm thinking it's just real Archaludon here. I don't think I want to bring Gambit, although it's not terrible because of Salamence and Basculegion. But I'm thinking these two and Peli plus Basque in the back. It could be Electabuzz though, since it does give me Electro Web. But I don't know, Pelipper's like offense is actually not bad here. I can see them dropping their own Peli. Just that we're choice banded on this, so I think if Rain isn't up and they don't bring Peli, it could give me kind of a liability in the end game. Okay, we'll see if they bring Amoonguss. I think it'd be a good call for them since I'm opting to drop Electabuzz here. I think Amoonguss is a little bit scary to bring in this matchup because you're staring down Electabuzz and Rillaboom. We are Grass Terra Basque, so that's one thing to think about as well. But yeah, I think if I can just get Archaludon boosted up here, it's so strong. It's going to be Salamence, King Gambit. Okay, so Gambit lead from my end wouldn't have been terrible, but it's still okay. I think my main fear here is probably Gambit switches out into Pelipper, and then they Hurricane my Salamence turn 1. I could just fake out Draco here turn 1. Fake out Draco, I think they really have to respect. I want to go for the side Bullet Seed. I do worry that they switch in Peli and just Hurricane. You would just be leaving yourself vulnerable to fake out Draco, though. So I think I'm still down. I'm going to go for Bullet Seed here. Bullet Seed and still Draco, I think, is fine. They Terra, okay. It's scary. Staying in with Gambit, though, so... Oh, it's Terra Gambit, okay. Into Ghost? Oh, Dark. They might just be going for Sucker Punch Draco Meteor, which is really smart, I think. Ah, nicely done. I get crit. I don't know if the crit mattered, though, to be honest. Really good play. Fake out Draco there would have obliterated Salamence. I would have gotten a defense boost and healed back with Archaludon, so that was just kind of a hard call out by them. And it goes to show you can't always get away with the self-Bullet Seed play. If you A lot of people will play passively into it, but my opponent does a fantastic job there and does not make that mistake. Okay, now the game becomes very interesting. Let's bring out Basculegion here. You pressure with Sucker Punch, so I could Grass Terra. I'm gonna switch in Pelly here. Grass Terra. I don't know, like Last Respects is not that strong right now, so I'm not sure this even gets the KO, but yeah. Very nice play by my opponent on turn 1. It's a big risk to take, right? Because if I just fake out Draco Meteor Salamence, especially you saw, like, Sucker Punch, even with the crit, only did around 2/3 of our health. So if you don't crit there, you normally do around half my health. If I knock out Salamence, the Archaludon just already is in such good shape after turn 1. So, yeah. It's a very nice hard call out by them. Gambit switches, okay. I don't mind that. Into their own Archaludon, yeah. I think it's just already a little bit scary because one, I'm not even sure if Last Respects gets this knockout, and 2, I don't have really good damage for their Archaludon anymore since my Archaludon's already gone. That's actually one of the primary win conditions into their Arch. Okay, we do get Last Respects. Nice. Okay, that is still a knockout. Sweet. So we equalize the number count. But once again, the concern is, how am I doing enough damage to Archaludon? King Gambit comes out. You pressure with Sucker Punch now as well. Can bring out Rilla. This is a big turn to get right, I think. I can see them doubling up onto Pelipper. There's a world in me that wants to actually protect Pelly here. Last Respects into Arch. I don't know if it's really that strong, though. I think, like... we'll see if they Sucker Punch here. Okay, they don't. Nice, that's big. Ooh, I don't know if I get this knockout, though, with Weather Ball. We get that KO. That turn worked out brilliantly for us. I really didn't think Gambit would survive the double up, honestly. It has like 1 HP. Okay. Basically, I made the hard call out that I didn't think they would Sucker Punch this turn, and that I would be able to just knock out the King Gambit with the double up, forcing them to their final Pokemon. Yeah, because I thought the obvious play for me was Protect, Switch, and Rilla for the Basculegion slot. I live on 3 too, but now you pressure with Sucker Punch on both slots. Oh, has like literally 1 HP. That's a bummer. But my opponent also just made an awesome play on turn 1 of this game. I think I actually probably had the team advantage, and they went really, really hard with that committal. Maybe I could have, like, I think Fake Out is always pretty safe. If I just went Fake Out Salamence and like Body Press on Gambit, there's not much downside to a play like that. So I kind of wanted to just, like, I saw a way to, like, gain a huge advantage, kind of like how some of the other games have played out so far with this team, but yeah, wasn't able to get it off in this one. Anyway, now Gambit applies Sucker Punch pressure onto either Pokemon. I'm going for Tailwind, Switch, and Rilla, but I don't know. Like, I think that turn in itself was huge, because if I had full HP on the Basculegion, I would still feel like we have a decent chance, because then we just need to knock out one other Pokemon and then, like, swap out Baskin back in. Oh, Gambit actually switches, okay. And to Amoonguss. This is still doable, actually, because Amoonguss is their last one, I think. Could have been a Hurricane until that slot. Snarl. The problem is I'm not a Assault Vest on Rilla, so they probably have Pollen Puff or Sludge Bomb, and so they actually do meaningful damage. And the problem now is I can only knock out one of the two that's on the field, right? And I think it has to be the Archaludon. I could win if they made a mistake here and switched Archaludon out into King Gambit. Wait, actually, no. If they do that, you always win, right? Switch out into Gambit, Pollen Puff or Sludge Bomb this. Always wins, because then you can just Sucker Punch me. Yeah. So I need them to not see that play and then just KO the Archaludon and somehow win the 1v1 into Amoonguss, but Let's see if they find it. No, they just stay in, but it might not end up mattering, to be honest. I don't even know if high horsepower KOs. Let's see. And we miss. Ah, man. It's a bummer. Yeah, I wonder how this game would have played out if we got the knockout on the King Gambit. I think missing here probably doesn't make too much of a difference, because I'm not sure I beat the King Gambit, or I beat the King Gambit Amoonguss combo anyway. Let's see how much Pollen Puff does here. 173 to... Oh, that does way too much, yeah. So I think I would have still lost this, because it's like, if we knock out Archaludon, you bring out King Gambit, and I don't have enough high horsepowers to KO Amoonguss quickly enough. Even if we were Assault Vest Rillaboom, I'm not sure I would have won this one. But yeah, I think this game hinged off two things. One, my opponent making a really awesome turn 1 play, just hard call out there, and then also going for the King Gambit surviving with 1 HP. I'm glad my opponent demonstrated how you can't always get away with Self Bullet Seed, and there are things that can leave you vulnerable to it, and very aggressive double up there, right? Because I think like Fake Out Draco and Salamence is something that they certainly have to respect, and I think they would have been in pretty tough shape if I had just gone for Fake Out Draco. Because then you either bring out Amoonguss, you probably bring out Amoonguss rather than Archaludon. And Amoonguss still would have been a really powerful pick for them, I think, in this one. But I think if we get rid of the Salamence, the Basculegion then can pretty safely Grass Terra and go for Last Respects or Wave Crashes. But yeah, even if we went Fake Out Draco on turn 1, I think like Amoonguss alone is kind of an annoying Pokemon to deal with, and since I didn't bring Electabuzz, it was even more challenging to fight against. But awesome turn 1 play by them. Ooh, nice. Okay, we are up against Marco's Sun team here, and we actually saw this matchup play out in the finals of the Gdansk Regional Championships, which was really, really amusing. It is interesting because basically we saw King Gambit being led with Electabuzz, with Pelipper in the back. The idea behind Electabuzz plus Gambit is you pressure Dark Terra, Sucker Punch, you pressure Taunt here. So I think I'm okay going with this combo and this lead. And then saw an adjustment to Basculegion, I think it was in game 3 of the finals, where it was just led immediately, and I thought that was really cool. Question is what we want as the final one. Electabuzz, Gambit, I think it's fine. Fighting Terra Porygon, definitely a possibility. If Trick Room doesn't get set up, Basculegion is insanely good here. Could be Arch otherwise, but I think I'm down for Bask. So let's see. In the finals, Federico was up 1 game, or sorry, down 1 game, and then in game 2, he, I think, managed to hit a Hurricane outside of rain and confuse Porygon into Confusion Hit, denying it an attack. And then in game 3, his lead adjustment was really, really smart. It's going to be Jump Bluff plus the Charizard, okay. So with this, you pressure with Sunny Day into Heat Wave, but then I pressure with Dark Terra Sucker Punch. So if I Dark Terra Sucker Punch here immediately, and use Sunny Day, this just gets blown up. You can Rage Powder, obviously, then, but then you don't get to go for... Like, Heat Wave is just way less strong. I could also protect Taunt on turn 1. Kind of like Protect Taunt. I'm just worried about this actually does go for Sunny Day. So you know what? I think I'm going to go Dark Terra, Sucker Punch, and Taunt. This way you either... Let's see if they switch. They don't. The logic behind this is you either go for Rage Powder, and yes, you get a Heat Wave. I mean, the scariest option would be Rage Powder Overheat here. I just think like Protect Taunt, really decent option here, but if they Sunny Day and I go for this play, it's like game winning on the spot. Nice. Unless we don't knock out Charizard, which would be really bad. Oh my gosh. That's not ideal. That really sucks. Yeah, because if we get that knockout, Charizard, like, they don't get any damage off, and then Jump Bluff also gets taunted. So it's a damage roll there. I think it's a roll that's in our favor, but I don't know what the calc looks like there. Charizard does end up fainting, and Jump Bluff is taunted, so it's still, like, not the end of the world, but that turn could have just worked out so much better for me, because I committed my Terra to do that, and didn't even get the knockout. Jumpluff basically has to switch out here. I'm going to bring out the Basculegion, I think. Yeah. And they bring out Ursaluna. Okay, that's fine by me. Because if your remaining one is Torkoal, I can... Jumpluff has to switch this turn, basically. This probably considers a Terra. Could be into, like, Porygon. This is going to be Ghost Terra, so I could see this tearing right now. Could just also Headlong Rush. The play I want to make is Wave Crash into Jumpluff. Switch Impelli. Okay, I'm done. Yep, so Jumpluff switches. Torkoal coming out would be sick. Or Porygon. Oh, it's instant. Okay, that works. Totally fine by me. The ideal output here is Basculegion knocks out Instant and Ursaluna protects, but I could see them just committing Ghost Terra this turn, which would be a little bit scary. Beautiful. That's huge. Okay. This is where Taunt plays such a big role, because the opposing Jumpluff just has no offense, so knowing that we can take advantage of. Okay. They're burnt now. Jumpluff comes out. Jumpluff can Rage Powder, and it can Sunny Day. Weather Ball will be super effective. It will be super effective if you set up the Sun. You could also Ghost Terra. I probably want to... This is still not a one game yet, even though that turn worked out well. You could also Sleep Powder Pelipper, which concerns me a little bit. Ghost Terra. Headlong Rush this. Sleep Powder this, I think is probably my biggest fear. I want to switch out into Electabuzz. And go for Hurricane. The switch is pretty obvious, so there was a part of me that thought about just staying in. But I think resetting the attack drop is a big enough deal to go for this. Okay, we do get them to Terra, which is also good. Terra Ursa, yep. Into Ghost. So this is good because it also creates the Last Respects endgame for us, right? Okay, they offer Sunny Day here. And Hurricane connects in the Sun, which is really fortunate. That just wins us the game immediately. But I do think Sunny Day was probably the right play for them to go for there. They'll get the knockout here. So, I don't know. I wonder if it was worth Weather Balling there, but I think I also have to consider that they might go for Sleep Powder there. So, yeah, I mean, hitting a Hurricane in Sun, obviously just a coin flip there. If they connect, or sorry, if we miss there, Headlong Rush KOs me, Basculegion comes out, I have Last Respects, but then you have Sleep Powder. So for them to, you could Rage Powder, I guess, in that scenario as well, but then I do have Weather Ball, but now I can just Last Respects here. And Weather Ball. Yeah. And this should just get the knockout. So I want to pull up the damage calc and show you all the calc from King Gambit into the Charizard on turn 1, because yeah, I think if we get that knockout, their remaining ones were Instant and Ursaluna, and then you have to switch in the Instant at some point, right? If otherwise you're just stuck with Jumpluff out on the field. So the damage roll on turn 1, I think, put me in a tougher spot just because I had so much offense immediately. And if we get that knockout, like, Jumpluff is just caught in such a bad spot, but we were able to still end up winning. But you know, it never feels good having to like hit a Hurricane outside of rain, especially in Sun, in order to win the match. And I think the game basically boiled down to that. I think, yeah, it's a 50-50 there, plus the whether or not a Sleep Powder connects on the subsequent turn against the Basculegion, I think. Although maybe they wouldn't have even needed to rely on Sleep Powder, because then they could have gone Tailwind. Tailwind and then what? Tailwind Headlong Rush KOs us, but then I would be able to knock out the Jumpluff. If they Sleep Powder into me and I knock out Jumpluff, maybe we're actually still good, because basically the Pelipper Weather Ball in Sun plus burn damage from Ursaluna actually adds up. So yeah, even if we miss that Hurricane, I think it was still winnable because you can only put one of my 2 Pokemon to sleep. And if you go for Tailwind, I knock out your Jump Bluff. It's a 1v1 Pelly into Ursaluna. And then I have Protect as well to stall to turn a Tailwind, Weather Ball, Protect, and then I might need to go for Hurricane afterwards. So yeah, I thought Sleep Powder was their best bet there rather than changing the weather, just to deny me from like getting anything potentially off. But either way, let's pull up the calc for King Gambit. So the Sucker Punch is actually not as strong as I thought it was. You do have a chance of getting a one-hit knockout, but it's very slim, just 1 in 16th. I thought this was actually like over 50% chance of getting a knockout. Now, note that you're not max attack on the King Gambit here, and so obviously if you have some more attack EVs, you have a slightly higher chance, but it doesn't move the needle that much. It literally just turns into a 12.5% chance anyway, and so knowing this, actually, I don't think the right play was to go for Dark Terra Sucker Punch turn 1. Especially since we saw that I was able to survive the Heat Wave on the Electabuzz. I could have gone for Protect plus Taunt on turn 1, thus rendering the Jump Bluff slot useless, and then on turn 2 go for Dark Terra Sucker Punch, and then King Gambit just survives for much longer, right? And so, yeah, I had actually thought that the Sucker Punch would do just a little bit more, enough where it would be like a roll that was either, 50-50 or more in my favor. I thought it was more in my favor, to be honest, and so this was a valuable damage calc to know, because it means that I'm not sure that was actually the best approach I could have taken to this battle. The question then is, what else would I go for, right? Because it's Ghost Terra on the Charizard, so leading Rillaboom I don't think is very effective. I could go with something like Pelipper, Basculegion, I suppose, but then they could just Rage Powder. I think Bass could work, though, because then I could just Terra the Basculegion. The problem is, if there's a Torkoal that switches in on turn 1, it's a complete disaster for me. They didn't end up bringing Torkoal in that game, but it's not, like, unheard of, right? But I think Bass, Grass Terra turn 1 to become immune to Sleep Powder and just Wave Crash into Charizard immediately, while Tailwinding with the Pelipper or going for a Hurricane is probably a little bit more consistent than the play I took in this game. Ooh, okay, this is the really fun Trick Room team that we saw at LAIC. It's funny because I actually had featured the Snorlax set on a team built by 2017 World Champion Ryoto Otsubo. And it's a really awesome Snorlax set with like Belly Drum, as well as Custat Berry. But this team is also crazy because you've got the Scarf Final Gambit Annihilate, which also is Ground Terror and can Earthquake into Weak Armor, Endure, Weakness Policy, Arm Rouge. So there's a lot of different leads to respect. Indy Snorlax is one of them. Annihilate Armor Rouge is another. Annihilate plus one of the Trick Room leads is another. So what do I want to lead with? If I go Pelly, Basculegion, they can switch in Annihilate. We've got Taunt on the Electabuzz. Terrain control is probably important. I think Annihilate Armor Rouge is the main lead I want to respect. This is so tricky to figure out in a short period of time. Electabuzz, Armor Rouge. Oh, sorry, Annihilate Armor Rouge, Rilla. Pelly? Ugh, I don't know how I feel about this, we'll see. The logic is Electabuzz pressures with Taunt, King Gambit pressures with Sucker Punch, as well as Swords Dance. Rillaboom gives me terrain control, so if I get a Swords Dance up, I can Dark Terra the King Gambit and Sucker Punch. Although Farigiraf is also on my opponent's team. Okay, they're committing to Snorlax NDD. That's fine. Because I think what I can do here is I can just Taunt Swords Dance turn 1. Which is really effective. And then just Protect turn 2. I can even taunt Snorlax. I guess they could just Earthquake Trick Room. So it's probably safer to just taunt NDD and let them get the Belly Drum up. And then double Protect. Yeah, I'm a taunt Swords Dance. Oh, they go for a Terra. Probably Terra NDD immediately. Yep. Fairy. Water. Okay, that's fine. So you are able to get taunted. I'm mainly curious if, was it Mentorb on this team? I don't think it was, right? But nice. Okay. Well, we get the taunt off. Belly Drum does go off here on Snorlax, but this next turn I can just double protect, because Indeedee can't do anything. Custap Berry will activate, and then King Gambit can start just KOing things. So, double protect here. Indeedee probably switches out into Farigiraf. So, I'm going to protect. Snorlax here is actually going to want to click Earthquake. So, yeah. I think this is probably the best lead we could have had into Indeedee Snorlax, so I'm very happy to see my opponent commit to it. And then we'll have terrain control as well, ideally, if we pick up a knockout. But double protect here, they bring out Farigiraf, and then I can just taunt Farigiraf, Dark Terra, King Gambit, and go for Kowtow Cleave. Oh, they actually stay in with Indeedee. Okay. Well, I know about the Custap Berry, so the best way to get around... Oh, no. The Custap Berry actually activates before. Yes, one of those, like, interesting mechanics. Yeah, so Farigiraf comes out. That's fine. It's the Air Balloon, which is really cool on this team because the whole point of the Air Balloon is so you can go for this, but without a Mentorb, Taunt Electabuzz can kind of just eat things up and really prevent their damage output. So double protect. Yeah, there's Earthquake. Okay. And this is one of the downsides of a team that relies pretty heavily on Trick Room. When you have a manual taunt user rather than like a priority taunt user, you just get really, really shut down. So now I can just go for Taunt onto Farigiraf, Dark Terra, Kowtow Cleave into Snorlax. Okay. And I think like one of the things about this strategy is that it indexes really heavily on Snorlax, and so knowing about the Custap Berry and just not getting caught off guard by Earthquake is the biggest deal there. Knowing that I can protect and knowing that you can't Trick Room that turn is huge. So Electabuzz gets Taunt off. We're not going to see a protect from the Snorlax, so we'll just get a knockout here. Nice. And now with Farigiraf not being able to set up Trick Room, King Gambit should be able to just sweep. We saw actually this duo go up against this team in LAIC on stream. And the team we're going up against, I think, ultimately finished in the top 32, which is really, really awesome. It is. You can see I was struggling a little bit in team preview, right? Because I was like, there's so many different combinations that I have to cover for. But Indeedee comes out. Now we can just taunt into you and go for Kowtow Cleave onto Farigiraf. And King Gambit kind of just, yeah, crushes everything here. So I think the mode I was most scared of was probably the Annihilate Armarouge combination with Indeedee in the back. And I've had to do some quick thinking in how to fight against that. Because you could just go for the Earthquake immediately with the Annihilate, like Earthquake Endure, for example. But we did have Sucker Punch pressure from King Gambit, as well as Dark Terra on it, and then Rillaboom for offense as well. And then Pelipper being able to survive an attack with Focus Sash and then retaliate back for a knockout is also really important. But yeah, this game just shows you the value of having that taunt on the Electabuzz. We've got Hyper Offense here with Typhlosion, Whimsicott, Indeedee, Sneasler, Annihilate, and Archaludon. I think the first thing to think about is Sunny Day from the Whimsicott, since they've got Typhlosion on the team. So Whimsicott, Typhlosion, definitely a lead that we're going to want to respect. King Gambit here is interesting because it can force the Typhlosion to Terra. They can also pivot in Indeedee, though, to get around Sucker Punch. If I were them, I'd probably go Whimsicott, Typhlosion, Indeedee, and then maybe Sneasler as the fourth. So what's my counter into Typhlosion? If I lead Rillaboom, Pelipper, they're probably going to go for Sunny Day and Eruption. If I go Rilla Gambit, they could switch in Indeedee. What do I want? Okay, I might still go Pelipper, Basculegion, Rillaboom, Archaludon. It's actually kind of a scary matchup, I think, because of the Manual Sun from Whimsicott, so we'll see. The idea behind this lead is Basculegion will still resist the Fire-type attacks from the Typhlosion. If they lead Whimsicott plus Typhlosion, it forces you to basically go for Sunny Day plus maybe a Fire-type attack. But it's going to be Annihilate or Archaludon. Okay, cool. So Rain is active. Basculegion obviously puts on a lot of pressure right now. This could be Final Gambit Annihilate. Archaludon can obviously Electro Shot on me. We're going to want to use our Archaludon ideally to beat theirs. I do have Flip Turn here. I could Flip Turn. I could just Wave Crash into you right now. Wave Crash Protect. Could also Tailwind. Okay, I'm down to Wave Crash Tailwind here. Annihilate goes for Protect. Okay, nicely done by them. Thought they might be Scarfed given their team composition. I could have went Grass Terra on Basculegion because they'll probably... Oh, it's actually Thunderbolt rather than Electro Shot. Okay, so that doesn't KO us. Huh, if you're going for Thunderbolt here, that makes me think you just straight up don't have Electro Shot, which would be really interesting. But with that, I think I'm happy to Wave Crash here. And Pelipper's not actually doing a ton, so I don't mind pivoting out into Archaludon. And then if the Basculegion faints, Rilla comes out, I can just self-Bullet Seed. But I'm surprised to not have seen Whimsicott here. I was trying to beat Whimsicott Typhlosion lead very specifically. Looking at my opponent's Archaludon, we actually don't have a ton of ways to do good damage into it. We've got Last Respects on Basculegion if we conserve it all the way until the end. Sucker Punch on Kingambit as well as Kowtow Cleave, high horsepower. But the best way to handle it, in my opinion, is using our Archaludon and going for self-Bullet Seed. So here's Choice Band, Wave Crash in the rain. That gets the one-hit KO onto Annihilate. Cool. Yeah, it's really interesting to not see Electro Shot on their Archaludon because I would expect it to be the Power Herb set anyway. So Basculegion will faint from recoil, but that's fine. And they'll go for Thunderbolt here, giving us a stamina boost. Cool. Very nice. And now it's time to bring out Rillaboom. So if they had just the Power Herb Electro Shot on turn 1 of the game, they would have been able to knock out Basculegion. I guess I'd probably still have Rilla plus Arch, and then I'd just go for Self-Bullet Seed, but it's going to be Whimsicott coming out for my opponent, okay? I do have Fake Out Pressure right now, and they might be sturdy on their Archaludon, but I think it's fine. I still don't mind getting myself boosted up right now with Self-Bullet Seed and Body Press. Okay, Whimsicott sets up their own Tailwind, that's fine. And this is one of the coolest combos on this team. They're going to Dragon Pulse into us. That's fine. Giving us a stamina boost once again. So we'll get to +6 defense at the end of this, which is pretty awesome. And first hit just does 3 damage. Nice. And the Bullet Seed on this Archaludon, or on this Rillaboom, kind of just unlocks a completely different game mode, which I think is really cool, since, you know, most of the times when people would see Rillaboom being used in this format, you would see Assault Vest. And so being able to threaten with so much damage and also being able to Bullet Seed your opponent is a pretty huge deal. But now we get the +6 Body Press, and that's a one-hit knockout onto them. So let's see what their final Pokemon is. Terra still hasn't been committed. I think what I'm a little bit worried about is Typhlosion now comes out, and then they Sunny Day. But it's going to be Sneasler. Interesting. Okay. Well, I don't really see how they deal with Archaludon at this point. This is just so boosted up. And Pelipper is going to be a great final Pokemon into both of these as well. This should be Seed on Sneasler. I think I can Fairy Terra here. I mean, there are places like, what, Moonblast Close Combat me, to which I should survive anyway. You could also Dire Claw into Rillaboom. Got high horsepower, Grassy Glide. We just need to KO onto one of these, I think, and we should be good. I think I'm down to go Grassy Glide into Whimsicott and Flash Cannon into it. Okay, Glide to break a potential Focus Sash here. Yep, there's Close Combat. We take that like an absolute champ, thanks to +6 defense. Brilliant. Moonblast as well. Cool, we survived that. Nice, and Flash Cannon here gets the KO. Ooh, it doesn't actually. That's fine. I can just Grassy Glide the Whimsicott to finish it off, and then Terra Archaludon to get around close combat. So Grassy Glide you, Terra you, and just Body Press here. Don't risk missing. And once we get a knockout, Pelipper with Focus Sash can just finish things off anyway. So, yeah. I'm curious how bulky the Whimsicott is. This Archaludon only has 52 special attack EVs, and we're Bold Nature as well. So, yeah, it's not crazy that Flash Cannon didn't get the knockout there. But Archaludon just in such a good spot. I also could have just gone for a high horsepower onto Sneasler that last turn, but I thought that I would get the KO with the double up for sure. And if it's a 3v1, then, you know, we can just launch Body Press, high horsepower. But either way, we're going to commit the Terra now. It's just really interesting to see Sneasler being brought outside of NDD, and then also no Typhlosion, because I thought like Typhlosion with Whimsicott would make a ton of sense here, but like maybe they were like, oh, I'm going up into a rain team with Pelipper and Basculegion, I don't actually want to bring Typhlosion, which would make a lot of sense. But Glide finishes off the Whimsicott. Fairy Terra here just now means that close combat does way less damage and will definitely survive. Beautiful. Yeah, that does 9 damage total. Cool. Defense drop plus 6 defense on our end here on Archaludon, so Body Press comes out, and that's a one-hit knockout. So Archaludon definitely the MVP of this game, of course, one of the best Pokemon in this format, and when paired with this Loaded Dice Rillaboom, it just becomes even stronger. It was able to get a one-hit knockout onto the Archaludon, one-hit knockout onto the Sneasler, and then do, you know, 90% to the Whimsicott as well. So a lot about using this team is finding the strongest pairs and combinations, and so Pelipper Basculegion, really impressive, does a ton of damage, but Basculegion obviously has to worry about attacking into Protects, which we did end up doing in the beginning of the game. And then also you have to worry about taking so much recoil from Wave Crash, right? But we found a really good position for our Archaludon to just come out, get it boosted, and we were really able to get going. I think if my opponent had Typhlosion actually over the Sneasler, they could have had this interesting endgame where you Sunny Day with your Whimsicott, and then Typhlosion can actually just spam Eruption. I probably would have had to go for the Fire Terra on Rillaboom to respond, give up the Archaludon, and then high horsepower into the Typhlosion slot, and then if that doesn't KO, finish it off with like a Grassy Glide, for example. But yeah, Typhlosion I think could have been interesting, but not the most intuitive to bring into a rain matchup. Okay, this is a really interesting team. We've got Baxcalibur, Cleaver, Kommo-o, Goodra, Greninja, and Archaludon. This feels like it should be a really good game for our Archaludon. They do also have Greninja plus Archaludon, which is something to pay attention to, since they can boost up their own Archaludon, which is really interesting. But Rillaboom, I think I might just go Rillaboom Archaludon in this one, because I threaten Fake Out into their Greninja immediately. So I like these two. I don't think we need Gambit here. Probably just Pelipper plus Basculegion. I guess Electabuzz is interesting for Electroweb, but we have 116 speed EVs in Archaludon. Don't know if I need it. Oh, you know, though, we are Ghost Terra with this. Ghost Terra means like a Ghost Terra in front of their Archaludon, so even if they boost up and become immune to Body Press. It's actually enough of a reason for me to think about bringing it. But I think it's just like the idea of late game Choice Band Basculegion with Last Respects in Rain looks so strong here too. So, let's see. Because like if we're up against Greninja turn 1, I can just like Fake Out Body Press it, I think. There would be the mind game of whether or not we think they would protect in front of us, because if we think they're going to protect, I could just Bullet Seed Body Press them immediately. It's going to be Cleaver Archaludon. Okay. Works for me. My main question here is what Cleaver wants to do. I think it makes sense to just try to knock out Rilla here. I could just Fake Out. Flash Cannon it. I'm also thinking about just Fire Terra to get around any super effective bug move from Cleaver, just so I get the Bullet Seed off. I think it's worth it, honestly. Because they might protect in front of me, too. And KO their Archaludon. I think the way I assess this matchup is if my Archaludon gets boosted and we knock out their Archaludon, I don't really see how they ever do enough damage to me. Nice, yeah, and they do protect, anticipating a Fake Out most likely. Beautiful. So we just get Archaludon active immediately. Sweet. And I figure this was I guess they could have gone for like a rock type attack onto the Rillaboom slot turn 1, but I just feel like it's obviously risky. And you're vulnerable to fake out as well. And the idea behind tearing here is I just thought it was more likely they'd potentially go for like a bug type attack onto me, right? So body press just gets that KO. And the fire terror here was mainly just a cover for, I don't know, if they were like Life Orb or Choice Band, going for a super effective bug attack into Rillaboom to just KO me. And Excalibur comes out. That's fine. Okay, now you could go for a rock type attack, but honestly, we've gotten what I needed to out of Rillaboom and Excalibur. Neither of these are really threats at this point. Like, they only have one special attacker in Goodra, right? So I think I'm happy to just Grassy Glide into you in case you're sashed, and Body Press into you as well. Terra comes out here. I expect maybe Ghost Terra on Excalibur. Let's see. Could be Poison Terra. Yep, gonna be Ghost, but we're just gonna ignore it here. And we are setting ourselves up for a late game Basket Legion sweep as well, right? It can just come out and click Last Respects, which is awesome. So there's Grassy Glide. Tailwind Cleaver, that's really cool. Okay. That's a really unique Tailwind user. Bax does manage to set up a Swords Dance, which is neat, but that's fine because basically all we need to do is get the Basket Legion out and click Last Respects in the end game into Excalibur. So you being boosted up doesn't scare our Archaludon at all since we have so many defense boosts already. It's going to be Goodra. Okay. Fine by me. Goodra, Body Press should KO. Super effective. I'm happy to just go for... I guess the interesting thing is you will Scale Shot to give yourself speed boosts, right? So the speed boosts maybe actually can become relevant into Bask here. But I'm happy to just Grassy Glide into Excalibur, Body Press into Goodra. I think the reality is Excalibur just has a really negative matchup into Archaludon because, like, you're just gonna... Oh, it's actually high horsepower. Okay. Fine by me. I get another defense boost from that. Swords Dance high horsepower is actually pretty cool. So they're not loaded dice is my guess. Draco Meteor comes out. And actually, with that combo, they almost get the knockout, but Archaludon's still bulky enough to survive. So now we get Body Press in return. KO's Goodra, and Gooey actually activates, giving me a speed drop, which is kind of cool. But yeah, that means you're not the loaded dice Excalibur set. Swords Dance, high horsepower, I assume Ice Skull Crash and Protect, and so without that, Basket Legion will just always outpace you in the rain. So yeah, I just go for a Bullet Seed here, as well as a Draco Meteor. Doesn't really matter which moves we go for here, I think, since Basket's the win condition anyway. Although I guess Flash Cannon is always guaranteed damage there. I was just curious how much Draco would do into Bax here. Let's see. We do miss, though. That's funny. Okay. That's fine. We can now bring out the Pelipper, set up the rain, and I can go for Tailwind plus Electroshot. Yeah, go for Tailwind here. And Ghost Terra is quite a good Terra on Excalibur because Sneasler is going to be so annoying, close combat from it, and so giving yourself immunity to close combat as well as Fake Out is always valuable, but yeah. Probably should have been, if I click Flash Cannon, the game would have just ended one turn sooner. I think I also probably could have just switched in Basket Legion here and then switch Archaludon out into Pelipper and then click Last Respects. I assume that's a knockout even with just one Pokemon knocked out on my end, but it's always safe to bring out Pelly and then wait for the free switch it into the Basket Legion. I'm mainly just curious what other moves they have. We saw high horsepower, we saw Sword Slam. I'm assuming it's Ice Skull Crash and Protect, but it's going to high horsepower into Archaludon. Actually does manage to get the knockout, which is pretty impressive despite us being at +6 defense. But yeah, now we get Tailwind up, and more importantly, this whole time I've been waiting for Basket Legion to come out and sweep the end game. So glad I made the decision to bring it in the end. I think it's like, you know, I could have brought Electabuzz, but Electabuzz has not very much offense, and so if I'm bringing Electabuzz, the damage hinges a lot more on the carries that I'm bringing into the game, but by bringing Basket Legion, it's such an effective closer, so I can Weather Ball and just Last Respects now. Being able to take advantage of the opposing ghost types and Terras is valuable for this team. People are often going to go for it in order to get around the fighting type damage from Body Press on the Archaludon. So this combo is just so effective. And against so many teams, if you get one good turn-off with it, you can just often win the game. So Vax is going to protect, but not much you can really do. Does reveal another move. So I assume it's Icicle Crash as the last one. Swords Dance with Loaded Dice I think would actually be really interesting because you just like increase your damage output so much. And then I think after Swords Dance, like your Loaded Dice moves can probably just one-shot so much of the format. But yeah, just Weather Ball Last Respects again. Okay, and there's the Choice Band Last Respects, and that's a one-hit knockout. Very nice. But yeah, I think we kind of just won this game off turn 1, being able to get ourselves boosted and not taking any damage in return. I think the reality is that our Archaludon was always going to be pretty good into my opponent's team, and the fact that they went for Protect with the Cleaver was big. Yeah, I really thought about going for something like Fake Out Flash Cannon, but I just thought, hey, if I have this opportunity to go for the side Bullet Seed, like, there's only one thing they can do that would punish me, which would be Cleaver going for, like, Stone Axe into the Rillaboom, which I thought was, like, fairly unlikely. And so by getting that activation off, it just put us in such good shape immediately. Okay, we've got an opposing rain team here with Incinemungus, Archaludon, Pelipper, Goldengo, and the Basculegion. So in the rain mirror, what do I want? We've got Grass Terra Basculegion, which I think is very handy. Electabuzz is interesting. It gives me Electro Web. I could use King Gambit to pressure Sucker Punch onto their Basculegion or Dark Terra. I probably want Rilla plus Archaludon, honestly. I'm even thinking about just leading it. Because I think Archaludon probably is one of the Pokemon that gives us the biggest edge in this matchup. I'm just curious that they actually bring Amoonguss, because like, if I were to commit to this, I could bring Electabuzz and have it as a switch-in to protect Archaludon. I think I definitely want my own Basculegion here. The question is, like, I'm thinking about actually just straight up dropping Pelipper with the expectation that they're going to bring Pelipper. But our Pelipper is not bad offensively in this matchup either, truthfully. I don't think I love Gambit here because of Amoonguss Redirection and Archaludon. I just think it could be Electabuzz over Pelipper. I'm really thinking about it. I'm going to do it because I think Amoonguss is actually kind of scary otherwise, and even if they don't bring Pelipper, it's fine. Like, I don't think we need the rain in this matchup. But basically, like, obviously we are running similar team compositions. What are the things that I have differently? The Grassy Glide, or sorry, the Bullet Seed Rillaboom, as well as the Electabuzz are two key pieces that they don't have. So I'm going to take advantage of both. They're going to go with Incineroar and Goldengo. Okay. Good lead by them. You definitely pressure with Nasty Plot here immediately with Goldengo, which is scary. Can Fake Out. The problem is if Goldengo doesn't tear, I'm not actually threatening a ton of damage onto it. Can Fake Out Instant pretty easily on turn 1. I think they'll probably just Fake Out Rillaboom otherwise. The problem here is I do not threaten the Goldengo with any damage really on turn 1. And without Pelipper as an option to switch in, if I had Pelipper, I could just bring in Pelipper and Electro Shot, but not bringing Pelipper limits me a little bit here. So, good lead by them. Yeah, King Gambit would have been very, very powerful into this. Okay, I'm gonna just Fake Out Body Press turn 1, I think. Oh, they protect Goldengo. Okay, I'll take that. Maybe covering for the Pelipper switch in play that I was talking about. Let's see if they went for a Fake Out here. They didn't. So I think they were probably expecting Pelly to come in, and they were gonna go for like Side Parting Shot, which would make a lot of sense. Sorry, not Side Parting Shot. Parting Shot onto me. Okay, well now I can at least get my Archaludon active. So boost up and body press. I still gotta take care of Goldengo at some point though. Basculegion is not gonna be, I mean Basculegion is gonna be quite good into it in the end game, I think. Electabuzz for redirection is also pretty good. You can redirect Shadow Balls away, forcing you to click Make It Rain. Ooh, they go for Terra here. Is it going to be the Ghost Terra on the Incineroar? I think that's a very good choice by them. No, it's Terra on Goldengo. Oh, and it's offensive and Steel. Okay. Well, I don't mind that one bit because now I can just body press you. They just go for the Make It Rain. That might KO Rillaboom here if you're Life Orb or Metal Coat. but it does not get the KO. Okay. So interesting. It's Protect Gholdengo, but still fairly offensive here. But now I just get to boost Archaludon all the way up. If they, like, Ghost Terra Instant actually would have been a really sick play there, because you Ghost Terra just to get around Body Press, and then you get a Parting Shot into me as well. And then you have 2 Body Press immunes, but now both Pokemon are just vulnerable to getting KO'd by Body Press. And initially my game plan around this Gholdengo was to KO everything around it quickly, and then use something like Basculegion to finish off the game, but now with them committing the Terra and them not going for Nasty Plot, I actually think we're in very good shape. So we're going to boost up Archaludon all the way and knock out the Incineroar here. Cool. Let's see what they bring out. I think Amoonguss would be interesting because I'm not Grass Terra here, so you can still pressure me with Spore. You could go for, like, Nasty Plot plus Spore. Yeah, I guess the question is whether or not they Rage Powder right now. Because obviously I could just Body Press into the Gholdengo slot. I'm not really that scared about its offense here. I'll just go for a Make It Rain. I'm worried about Nasty Plot personally. I'm gonna switch in Electabuzz right now. Go for Body Press onto Gholdengo. If they protect the Gholdengo, fine. If they Rage Powder, honestly, also fine. With them being at -1, my Archaludon isn't really threatened by them a ton right now. So Electabuzz comes out. Great, and they just go for Make It Rain, so we'll get the knockout onto Gholdengo. I think the Terra ended up not really being worth it for my opponent since they didn't knock out Rillaboom anyway. I think if you get that KO on Rillaboom, it's totally worth going for, but by committing the Terra, you become weak to Body Press here, which I'm able to take advantage of. So we just get another knockout here. And Amoonguss can Spore, but now they only have 1 remaining Pokemon, and I don't think, like, oh, and they go for Pollen Puff here instead, huh? Maybe predicting Grass Terra from the Archaludon. I'll take it. Let's see what their final is. It's going to be their own Archaludon. Cool. So with that out now, I can go for a Taunt onto your Amoonguss and a Body Press onto Archaludon. Yeah, they just end up forfeiting. Kind of interesting that we both ended up dropping Pelipper in this matchup, expecting our opponents to bring it. Instant Gholdengo, yeah, I think a lead that I wasn't really anticipating my opponent going for because I think it's so weak into King Gambit. You would activate Defiant, and then King Gambit puts on so much offensive pressure into Gholdengo immediately. So I actually think it was a very good lead by them. And not bringing Pelipper made things actually a little bit scarier because I didn't have a ton of offense into the Gholdengo, especially with them not bringing Pelipper either. Like, that was kind of a gamble that I had. And I figured, okay, even if Rain isn't set up in this game, it's still fine. But with them not bringing Pelipper, Basculegion may have been less effective for me in this battle overall. And so, yeah, I think like Pelipper and Gambit actually would have been both strong brings into the specific Pokemon that they ended up bringing. But either way, I think the Archaludon just gets boosted, and them committing that Terra with Gholdengo made things easier. They may have been worried about like Snarl from Archaludon, which is something that has been really picking up in usage, and they also probably were worried about me switching in Pelipper, trying to Electro Shot them immediately to start the game. But I think if they had like Nasty Plotted with Gholdengo rather than Steel Terra Make It Rain that turn, if they had Nasty Plot, they would have been threatening with a lot more offense, and especially since Archaludon didn't have very much offense to respond with since we couldn't Body Press them. Anyway, that's going to be it for this one. So thank you so much, as always, for joining me. A huge thank you to Federico Campo for posting and sharing his Rento after winning regionals with this composition. And as you round out this regulation and you're looking for a really strong team, this is definitely one of them. So yeah, thanks as always for watching, and I'll catch you all soon. All right, peace.